Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We'll give folks some time to log in. Hi, everyone. For those of you just joining, we're just going to give a couple minutes for folks to be able to join us, and then we'll get started here shortly. All right, it looks like logins are starting to slow down. So welcome, everyone. My name is Ben Longstreth, and I am a staff member at Bentley University, and I work in the Office of the Vice President of Student Affairs. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what Student Affairs exactly is, but we are so excited to welcome you all to Bentley. And we know that this is an exciting time in your lives and the lives of your students, and we don't take lightly that you've trusted us with your students' college education. We want this space today to be a space where we can share with you some really great resources that we have on campus to make sure that your students have what they need to be successful, and at the same time, answer any questions that you may have. And so we have a fantastic panel of faculty and staff here with us today. And so without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Jane Griffin, our Associate Provost of Student Success, to give her introduction. And then Jane, if you want to just pass it off to someone else.
Sure. Thank you, Ben. Welcome, everyone. As Ben said, we're so happy to have you here tonight. I'm really excited to meet your students and have them move on to campus or just join us for classes on campus in the fall. My name is Jane Griffin. I'm the Associate Provost for Student Success. What that means is I am responsible for overseeing the academic success of all of your students while they're here at Bentley, making sure that they successfully progress through their programs and make it to graduation. And also I partner with offices all over campus to ensure that your students are happy on campus, that they're part of our community, that they feel a sense of belonging in our community. And I also work very closely with first-gen students, both in my capacity as Associate Provost, but also I'm the faculty director for a special program for first-gen students called the First-Gen Presidential Fellows. So there might be some of you in the audience tonight whose students are part of that program. También quiero ofrecer un bienvenido a todos los hispanos hablantes en el público esta noche. Por si acaso yo hablo español, si alguien tiene una pregunta y no quiere preguntar en inglés, me las pueden preguntar en español y se lo contesto en español. Gracias. Thank you.
Great. And BL.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bobby Lynn Kekic, or people lovingly at Bentley call me BL, so either is fine. I am the Director for New Student Programs. I have the great privilege of working with many campus partners to help to coordinate our onboarding and orientation programs for our undergraduate new students. I also have the pleasure of helping to coordinate some transition programs and support within that first year, knowing that it's going to be a different experience for all of our students. So any way that we can connect them and make sure that they find their place here at Bentley is only going to help them to succeed even further. We also work with our family members. So if this is the first time that you're joining us, we have a plethora of different resources that we can share with folks. If you have any questions of what we shared today, please feel free to reach out at orientation@bentley.edu, and I can make sure to connect you with any of my colleagues that are here today, or those who are not in this session. But we just want to make sure we get you the resources and information that are helpful to support your student. And I'm going to turn it over to Christine.
Hi, everyone. So awesome to be here tonight. My name is Christine Vidic, and I work in the Pulse for Career Development Center, and I'm one of the advisors in the center. In addition, I have a little bit of a different title, which is Career Equity and Access. And what that means is that I work with first and second year students specifically on transitioning from high school into the college experience related to your career development. So I'm usually found in the classroom and working with students one-on-one. Again, transitioning students, especially the first generation students. So thank you. And I'm going to pass it on to Diana.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm so happy that you're all here this evening. My name is Diana Jones, and I'm one of the nurse practitioners, and I work in the health center, and I have the privilege of taking care of your student. I have a long history working in student health. I've been at Bentley since February, not very long, but again, I have a lot of experience working with college students. And I hope the information I share with you is helpful this evening. And I'm going to pass it back on to you, Ben.
Yeah, and we have just one more, and that's Melissa.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Melissa Junta. I'm a Senior Assistant Director in the Office of Financial Assistance. Just for my title alone, you'll know that my office oversees the financial aid aspect of, making it affordable for your child to attend Bentley. So if you have questions related to their scholarships, any grants, both federal or institutional, their student loans, any questions like that, our office would be able to assist you with that. In particular, my role, I also co-chair the First Generation Student Staff Support Committee on campus with Jane Griffin, and I also oversee our First Gen Fellows. So again, if you're in the crowd as one of the fellows, I'm sure you've communicated with me. So being, the First Gen population is something that's very close to me, as I am a first generation college student as well. So I'm very excited and happy to have you guys here tonight.
Thanks, everyone. And as you can see, we have a number of staff and faculty available tonight. And this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of who is available at Bentley to support your students. We had a select few join us this evening because we didn't want to take the entire hour and a half doing introductions. So we're going to move on. But before we continue, I wanted to bring your attention to the chat. This is all available in Spanish captions. So if there is a link in the chat, you can click that link directly and you can access Spanish captions if that's easier for you or more accessible, so you can get this information as it's really important to your student success.
Y brevemente yo voy a traducir lo que dijo Ben, que es que él puso un link en el chat para seguir leyendo de lo que estamos hablando en español. Así que si alguien prefiere leer en español lo que nosotros estamos diciendo en inglés, pueden acceder a ese link para hacer eso.
Thank you, Jane. And so next, just a quick agenda for this evening so you know what to expect. We just did some introductions. We're going to do a quick resource overview of our various areas and what we can offer your students, and maybe some pertinent information regarding, their first year at Bentley in our areas. We're going to talk about strengths and assets of being first generation. tips for supporting your students' transition to college. We're all in this together, and we want to make sure we're inviting you into that conversation. And then finally, some questions and answers. So I know that some of you have had a chance to submit questions in advance, and that's great. And also, if you would like to submit any questions during our time together today, there is the Q&A feature available. And so please feel free to put those questions in the chat, and we'll get to as many as possible during this time, and we can always follow up afterwards if we don't get to all of your questions. But keep those questions coming, because that's why we're here, is to help you along the way. So I wanted to provide a quick overview. I know that the title of this was First Falcons, parent Zoom info session. And so a first Falcon is a Bentley student who is a first generation college student. And a first generation college student is a student whose parents don't have a bachelor's degree. I'm actually one of those first generation college students. So neither of my parents have a bachelor's degree. I'm looking at some other folks on the screen here that I know are also first generation college students. And so that provides a pretty unique experience when you're going to school, and this actually includes 58% of the college student population in the United States. So this is a growing population. Why does this matter? Why does that first generation college student status matter? That's because college can be confusing. And so we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make it as least confusing as possible, as smooth as possible as your student transitions to the Bentley community. We are here so that way we can help your students succeed. And then finally, college can feel scary. It can be easy for students to question if they belong here. But they do. I have a quick story. When I moved into college as an 18-year-old at a small private school, just like Bentley. And my parents didn't know quite what to expect, but I remember they shared that one of the deans, one of the staff who spoke to them on move-in day, shared, Ben is probably going to call you at some point, and he's probably going to say, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not sure if I belong, and he might ask to come home. And the staff member said, but don't listen to him. And I'm so glad that he shared that with my parents, because I remember that first Friday night of college, and I was really nervous about classes. I was really nervous about making friends, and I was really doubting about whether or not I belonged at this place. And I'm so grateful for that message, because when I called my parents, they said, you're going to be okay. You can do this. You belong there. And so just a little sentiment that as your students are transitioning to this new role and to this new chapter of their lives, they do belong, and they might have some self-doubts, but we're all here to kind of support that and make sure that they have a smooth transition. So now let's go into a bit of some of the many resources at Bentley that are here to support your student success.
So in the Office of Financial Assistance, we're committed to helping students make education at Bentley affordable investment, because your education is probably one of the largest investments you will make. So you obviously want to be considerate of how much you're borrowing, but just know that more than 70% of Bentley students receive some sort of financial aid from us, whether that's a grant, scholarship, federal loans, federal funding. Those are all pieces that build the financial aid component. In our office, we assist with merit scholarships, federal and institutional grant funding. So if you're like, what does that mean? It's federal funding from filling out the FAFSA, a federal Pell Grant. If you're from Massachusetts, you may have received a Massachusetts grant. And then an institutional grant is Bentley grant money. And that's funds that you actually don't have to pay back. So those are the funds that you want. Then there's other funds like the federal student loans. Every student is eligible for them for their 4 years, and it increases as they go. And we always say, it is a very low interest rate. So it's a good piece to have in your financial aid award because it allows the student to build some credit. And there are work programs that are also available on campus where students, if they have been awarded federal work study, they can actually work in any of our departments for anyone that's on this panel right now and earn money for work that they have done. And then they can use that for personal expenses or to help pay their tuition bills. And then last piece of the financial aid that we assist with is the alternative loan lending process. So this is if you have to apply for an outside loan to help cover the rest of your tuition. In our office, these are, we provide resources in terms of websites where we recommend families to go use to find alternative loans, or you can have your student reach out to their financial aid counselor to talk. Maybe they want to do a combination of, when they have to pay their bill, applying for a loan and doing a payment plan. Each student has their own assigned financial aid counselor in our office. So you can go to our website. It's all assigned by alpha split. So if someone's last name starts with a C or a D, I'm your assigned financial aid counselor. So your student or you can email me directly and we can either set up a time to talk or communicate via email. And then if you have any questions, I know sometimes parents have questions, especially in the middle of the night. That's when their brain starts racking. So always feel free to send us an email. Our office is open in the summer, 8 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday. And then starting, I believe it's in 2 weeks, it'll be 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. Our office is really here to help you with all of your needs in terms of financial aid. So I know it's a broad topic, but anything related to financial aid, we are here to help you. And there are counselors available at all times. So if your assigned counselor isn't available, there is another counselor that will be able to help you. And then just the last piece of information is you do have to reapply for financial aid every year. It's not something that's automatic. So you do have to fill out a FAFSA application, and the CSS profile is most likely not going to be required as you move forward, but there could be situations where we do request it. We are doing something that's called level funding. So that just means if your FAFSA expected family contribution is within, I believe it's 20% of what it was last year, then we won't request a CSS profile, which is, hey, great news for you. You don't have to do that application. But you still have to submit your tax returns, W-2 forms, and the FAFSA. If for any reason your FAFSA EFC changes drastically, like if you've had 2 kids in college and now you only have 1, we will require you to do CSS profile. Again, this is something that, when your student is looking at their workday accounts, and it will show their checklists, come the early like January, I think we publish those. All the information will be on there. Again, you can contact your financial aid counselor specifically come, after October 1, and we can have some more information for you. But my number one thing to say is ask questions. If you don't know something, or if you're confused about something, financial aid is not easy. If you don't do it every day, it is not an easy thing. So please, please, please reach out. We are here to help.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about academics. I myself am a professor at Bentley. I've been a professor here since 2010, so 12 years. I usually teach Spanish and Latin American literature and culture in the modern languages department. But now that I've moved into a student support role, I'm no longer teaching. So I want to go over a couple ways that we here at Bentley are here to support your students academically with their coursework, which is, of course, the primary reason that they're coming to Bentley and the main objective. So the first is something called Falcon Discovery Seminar. And that is a regular course that all of your students will be enrolled in this fall. Hopefully all of your students have already registered for classes and they're already signed up for this class. This is a really important class. It's a great entryway into the Bentley community. It's a smaller size class, so your students will have more access to the professor, the faculty member, and they'll be able to learn not just about the content, the specific theme of the course, maybe it's history or political science or marketing, but they're also going to be able to learn about Bentley itself and what it's like to be a college student, what it's like to use the library, what it's like to look up academic sources and cite those sources correctly in their coursework and in their assignments. They're going to learn about some time management skills. It's really meant to be an initiation and an introduction into college life. They're going to get a lot of support from their professor. There's also a student who is usually a sophomore, junior, or senior on campus who will be assigned to the course as what's called a peer leader. And I want to encourage you to really let your students know that both their professor in the Falcon Discovery Seminar and the peer leader are there to support them, and that they should reach out to either of those people at any time with questions that they have. So that's really, that course is meant to really help students transition into their first semester of college. The next is academic advising, and you can find that just by Googling Bentley University academic advising. We have a whole staff of professional academic advisors on hand, ready to assist your students with questions about what classes should they register for in the spring semester? How do they pick a major? How do they pick a minor? Are they taking the right courses for their general education core requirements? Maybe they want to drop a class and they need to add a different class. All of those types of questions, that's what the academic advising staff is there to help with. The third thing is the Bentley Library. The Bentley Library is an incredible resource for all students. It's an especially important resource for first generation college students because the library has done a lot of work to prepare resources specifically for your students, for first generation students. So there's an entire page on the Bentley website for first gen explaining what the library is, how they can access it, what are the specific tools and resources that the library has relative to first generation college students. I really encourage you and your students to look at that page. Again, you can just Google Bentley University Library first generation college student, and that you should be taken directly to that page. It's a wonderful resource, and all of our librarians are eager to help your students. So if your students have any questions about assignments in their classes, maybe they have to look up some information, they don't know how to access it, they don't know where to start, go to the library, ask a librarian. You can set up an appointment or just walk in and ask a librarian at the desk, and those folks are an incredible resource and ready to help. And lastly, our faculty, our professors. Our professors are, not just in the classroom. We want students to access our professors in what's called office hours. Office hours are times that professors make themselves available outside of class for students to come ask questions. And those are required times that we insist that professors make themselves available. And I'm always surprised at how little students utilize that time and how infrequently students go to their professors in office hours to ask questions about class. I can tell you as a professor, your students will succeed more if they utilize those office hours. Professors love when their students come ask questions, and the one-on-one relationship that your students can form with their professors will help them do better in their classes. I guarantee it. So those are some things I'd like you to share with your students, make sure that they know about these things and that they're accessing them to get help with their coursework.
Okay, so I'm going to start with some of the services that are offered at the health center. So the health center is a nurse practitioner run clinic. We have a wonderful team of very qualified providers. We do provide quality medical care, including taking care of common health conditions, injuries. We perform and order laboratory tests right on site. We can prescribe. We also have a medication delivery service that we can offer. And we can also refer your student to a specialist if it's indicated. So we have a really comprehensive resources within the health center. We also offer after-hours support. So most of the after-hours support is for non-emergent issues, and it's very easy to access. They just call the main number and then they follow the prompts. We also have, very close to Bentley, some urgent care centers that we collaborate with. And we also have University Police that is open 24/7 for any emergencies on campus. So the students are well taken care of in terms of off campus if they need to go to an urgent care when we're closed, or if they do need transportation to the emergency room. I did put the to-do items reminder list up there because I just want to go through some really important things to remember. So in terms of the required vaccinations, I have listed them there for you. You need to make sure that you have uploaded the immunization form and health forms. So those were due June 15th. So if you haven't sent those in, we really need to make sure that you upload them. If you have any questions about this, you can call the health center and I will go over who to contact for that. So a couple of things to remember with these forms, again, very important. If they're not submitted, they can delay move-in, and we don't want that to happen. We want the students to come in and have an easy transition. And if they're not submitted within 30 days of classes, the student will be put on an administrative hold. And what that means is that they may have some issues with registering for spring classes. So it's very important that these immunizations and the medical records are uploaded to the portal. And I have listed the website for you to upload them. There are instructions, and again, I will go over who to contact if you have questions about that. The next thing is the insurance. So we have a student health insurance plan for any student that does not have insurance, either on their own or through their parents. And if they do have insurance, then they need to waive the insurance. And this was due yesterday, so I'm going to say that if you need to waive the insurance, you need to do that ASAP, because I will tell you as soon as possible. If you don't waive it, it will automatically start and be put on to your student's bill. And the cost of that is $2,331 for the year. So it is expensive. So just again, the insurance waiver, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done online. And I have put the website. It's pretty simple. Once you log in, it will go through the instructions. If you need health insurance, you will enroll through that website as well. So I just want to go back to the vaccines. There was a message about the booster. So the required vaccines are COVID-19, the two vaccinations and the booster. So those are required for campus. And then of course the other required vaccines, MMR, meningitis A, hepatitis B, Tdap, and varicella. So they're listed right there. Okay, so we went through the immunization health forms, the health insurance. So we are open again Monday through Friday during the academic year, 8:30 to 4 p.m. But we are also open in the summer for any kind of administrative questions. So you can email us at any time. As Melissa said, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a question. Please email us at that ga_healthcenter@bentley.edu. The contact person that can help is Tara McCauley. She is our office coordinator. She is wonderful. You can email her also if you have any questions about the immunizations and medical documentation, if you need help uploading those forms, or if you need any help with the insurance, waiving it, or enrolling in it. And was there another question in the chat? Okay.
Yeah, so there was a question about making sure that, so one person, their student has both of the COVID vaccines, and has an appointment for the booster, but hasn't gotten the booster yet. It's scheduled for in September. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think that's an issue as long as you contact Tara McCauley to let her know. That would be really helpful. And then, you know, as long as you upload the document as soon as you get the booster, it's perfect. Again, those immunization and documentation have to be submitted 30 days. Did I say 30 days? Within 30 days of classes starting. So you'll have that time frame, a little bit of a buffer to get that paperwork in. Okay, and think of questions at the end. I'm happy to answer anything that I didn't go over.
Great, thanks, Diana. And health services is one of many different offices and departments that fall under something called student affairs. And the Division of Student Affairs includes a lot of different areas of the student experience that are outside of the classroom. So Jane here talked about all of those important pieces and really central pieces to your students' Bentley experience, which is that classroom experience. But there's a lot that goes on outside of the classroom. Housing, so living in the residence halls or the dorms, athletics or clubs and organizations, student employment or campus jobs, and you know, a lot of different offices that health services that support students' experience. So I'm just going to highlight a few of the many things that we're here to focus on with your student. The first one is we focus on opportunities to get involved, allowing your students to make connections with each other and build their resumes. So once again, you know, your student is not choosing just like an online degree, but they're choosing to be immersed in this place-based institution like Bentley. And part of the value of that is getting to connect with other students and make these lifelong friendships and also build really valuable skill sets outside the classroom. And so getting involved on campus is a really great way to do that. And that means joining some student organizations and clubs or getting an on-campus job. We create healthy, inclusive environments for students to live on campus. We have a number of residence halls or dorms on campus where students live, and they're able to live in supportive environments. They're able to have something called a resident advisor, which is a student who's a sophomore, junior, and senior who has gone through extensive training on how to make sure that your student is being supported and is safe in their living environment. Their resident advisors also put on programs and activities. That way your student can have a sense of home away from home and really build some connections and some comfort where they're living on campus. We oversee health and safety initiatives on campus. So our university police is in student affairs, and then as well as, like Diana just said, our health and counseling centers. So really those basic needs are met of safety through those areas. And then finally, we have dedicated staff making sure that if your student is struggling with something, they have support they need. We have something in student affairs called the care team, and that's a collaborative group of staff who are focused on students who might be struggling in the classroom, might be having some trouble transitioning to college, or maybe even just as simple as maybe having a hard time making friends. And so we're really dedicated here to making sure that your student is successful inside the classroom, but is also able to really thrive and enjoy themselves and feel satisfied outside the classroom as well.
Hello again, everyone. So as I mentioned before, I work in new student programs, and really what we do is working with our new students to create a foundation for success so that they can thrive and connect and feel that sense of belonging. We work really collaboratively with many campus partners across, you know, all of the divisions. So we have the opportunity to really make sure that we can represent and present and inform our students across the board. As I mentioned, this is a new experience for everyone. And so we want to make sure that we can provide as much information and resources so that we can meet people where they're at. our process has already begun with your student. Back in May, after they deposited, they received our new student guide, which outlines a variety of resources. You may have viewed that yourself, but there's a lot of information in there. From there, we work with your student on their checklist tasks. We've been talking about a few of those, but they work really closely to get rid of all of the information, get rid of all the tasks that they need to do in order to get to that move-in day. And then we've also been interacting through some virtual experiences, whether that is, social programming, whether that's more informative, but we've had the great pleasure of already starting to connect with your student. Where our bigger programs or our bigger opportunities to connect with your students really lie are with our upcoming experiences. So one of those experiences is our virtual orientation group meet and greet. This is coming up at the end of August, and this is a chance for any of our new students to be able to meet their orientation leader. And so the orientation leader is an upper class student, which is a sophomore, junior, or senior, who helps to mentor the new students through the orientation experience. And so having that opportunity to meet the orientation leader at this virtual program, what we've heard is gives a little bit of ease to that move-in day, just to be able to know some familiar faces as you join us on campus. I keep throwing around this term of orientation, and what does that mean? Well, at Bentley, orientation is really this opportunity to have a few days before the rest of our students arrive to campus to really start to create that foundation for your students. So we make sure that they're connected to their orientation leader. We make sure that they are building and networking with other peers around them. We make sure that they have an opportunity to hear from academic services, to be able to engage with faculty and staff, to of course have a little fun, because that's important as well. But we have everything from a social with our amazing president of the university to internationally known keynote speakers. So there's really a lot that your students will do over those 5 days. But it is a really nice way to just get them to feel welcomed on campus and to get settled. And we know that this is so new for everyone. So just being able to take it slow so that they can start to, just get adjusted to then be able to start classes. A few other programs that I just wanted to highlight for you all is our virtual family workshop. So if you are interested, in September, we have a workshop that we're offering to all of our family members to be able to learn a little bit about what your student experienced in orientation, to hear about some more support opportunities, and then some ways for you to stay connected to the Bentley community as well. Because even though this is your student's experience, we know that our family members are partners in their student success, and we want to make sure that you feel connected as well. And the last piece I just wanted to offer up is we have some continued programming that will happen. As Ben mentioned, we have lots and lots of opportunities for our students to get connected and join clubs and organizations, or to get an on-campus job. And ways that we can really help to make sure that students know about these opportunities. One is through our Falcon 40 programming series. This is highlighting different programs that happen within the first 40 days, because we know that is important for our new students to start to feel that sense of belonging and connection. And then the other opportunity is a leadership retreat that happens in the spring, only for our new students, and it's called Falcon Foundations. So we are ways away from that, but I just wanted to put in a plug for that, because we have found that for students, whether they've already found their connections and support on campus, or if maybe they haven't met their network yet, that leadership retreat in the spring has always been a really important way for our students to feel like they belong. There's so many more opportunities, but I'm going to pass it on over just so we can keep going through our resources.
Hi, everyone. So I am representing the Career Development Office at Bentley. So I am under the Pulsifer Undergraduate Career Development Center, which is a space on our campus where students can design their own careers and life. So we work with the students from when they come on campus, the whole first year until they graduate. So there's a lot of things to cover within there. So I'm one of 6 career advisors in the office, and I'm one of the only ones that worked with the first and second year students. And the reason for that is we put our students through a lot of different courses. And you can see my second bullet, it talks about career design courses, CDI 101, 201, and then 301. So Jane was speaking about the Falcon Discovery Seminar. So that seminar really gets the student engaged in what's going on campus. Well, we don't want to overload them right away in the first semester. So career development kind of jumps in on the spring semester. And that's when we start our first introduction course, which is in the spring semester of the first year. We have about 98% placement rate of all first year students taking this course. And this course, we work with their career toolkit, resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, anything that they need to do to communicate to other people on their careers and life and what they're doing and who to ask for questions. We do all that with the students in the CDI 101 section. Then after they finish that, they have an option of transferring into the 201 section. Now that section is set up for students who are still undecided on what they want to major in, or they have no idea on what they want to do. So what we do is we take a deep dive in self-assessment with them and really start to get them to, think about different career paths and different ideas and different skills that they could develop through assessments that would really match with what their ideas are of what they want to do in the future. So that's our special 201 section. And then once the students decide on their major, so after that course, they'll be really comfortable and confident about the major that they're choosing that matches to a career path, then they get transferred into a 301 section. Now, remember I said there are 6 career advisors in my office? Well, the rest of the advisors are the dedicated career advisors for specific majors. So once they decide on a major, then they transfer over. They have to leave me, but they go over to some really great qualified advisors that help them with connecting with employers and with alum that are already working in the field so that they can really start jump shooting where the career path that they want to go into. And what I mean by jump shooting is like internships or maybe just informational conversations. We have all that kind of information for your student. So we support them in their transformative experience from first year all the way through till they graduate. My third bullet is about career design colleagues. So as I said, I work with the first and second year students. Well, there's a lot of students. So what we have is we've designed a colleague program, which is a mentor program for your student. And I have 14 upperclassmen. Those upperclassmen are juniors and seniors that have already gone through the experience of the first and second year. So they help your student to feel comfortable with not knowing what they want to do, or maybe choosing a certain major and why did you choose this major? So there's a lot of support for them. We have drop-ins, which are daily times specific for first year students that can come in and ask, and they're from 1 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, ask any of us, myself as an advisor or students, any types of career questions that they need answered. And then my last bullet I like to throw in there, because there is a myth. There's a big myth for career that your student has to have their career all figured out when they come on campus. Absolutely not true. They haven't even worked with us. They only have a very small amount of knowledge on what they did when they were in high school. So there's no way that they can make a decision yet until we start to work with them, Or maybe they're coming in with, I think I want to do this, and then we can support them and really help them feel confident that this is the right path for them. So those are just a few things that career development will do. But I just wanted you to know that we start with them from the first year that they enter.
Thanks, Christine. And we have one question before we move on to the next slide.
Okay.
Regarding CDI, if the student knows what major they are interested in, can they elect 101 and 301 or are they completely sequential?
Excellent question. They are not completely sequential. And after 101, if you know what you want to do and your student is really confident in that, they will switch right into 301. The other thing is in the spring semester, they'll be taking CDI 101. In the fall 201, it's only a 4-week class. So it's 4 hours of a ton of knowledge. And then they can take 301 in the same semester. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Now talk to Jane, I believe.
Okay, I'm going to go quickly because we want to get to all your questions. Just wanted to talk a little bit about how prepared your students are for university life. Even though, they are first-generation college students, we think that this list of skills and assets and strengths that they have prepared them perfectly to succeed at Bentley. So we know from a lot of research and our own personal work with first-generation college students that they are incredibly resourceful. They are resilient. They have a lot of work experience and hard work ethic. Personally, I think that makes first-generation college students perfect students for a place like Bentley, where we specialize in business. Your students, many of them have a lot of work experience that is going to translate really beautifully into whatever professional career they choose to pursue while they're here at Bentley. First-generation college students are really good at code switching. So that might mean that they actually are multilingual and know more than one language. It might also mean that they're very comfortable speaking in a professional setting and then slipping back into a more casual slang-like setting with their friends and their speech. It also could mean that they're comfortable code switching in their dress. They're used to living in a variety of different environments and succeeding in multiple different codes. They're entrepreneurial. We know that a lot of first-generation college students like to start their own businesses or start their own projects. Many of your students may already have their own businesses. They're industrious, which I think is maybe a fancier word for saying scrappy. So again, really resourceful, really used to problem solving and figuring out a way to make things work no matter what. And the last one is my favorite, and that is that, excuse me, we know that first-generation college students are very community focused and very interested and passionate about helping others. And so we see this to the extent in which they've helped you and your families grow and thrive, and also their larger communities that they're coming from. And so we think that all of these things just prepare them perfectly to succeed at Bentley. We really want to build on these strengths and these assets as they continue to grow and develop on our campus and at our school. One thing I will say, however, is that because of all of these strengths that your students have, it does mean that there's sometimes more reluctant to ask for help, because a lot of times they've had great success in their life doing things on their own and not reaching out for help and just having to figure things out for themselves. So we want to really encourage you to, let your students know that help is here for them whenever they need it at Bentley. Even if it's a problem that they don't even think or know might have a solution, the chances are somebody at Bentley can help them figure it out. And so we just really want to impress upon you and your students to, reach out to any of us on this call for help if they ever think that they need it.
Thanks, Jane. So we just talked a little bit about a lot of the network of support that is at Bentley, and you all as parents are a huge part of that web of support for your students. And so here are just a few tips as you're navigating this new chapter with your students as they're starting their time at Bentley. So first off, just over to the left side of the screen here, you'll see this College Ready 2022. This was actually sent to each of you via email earlier this week, so or last week. So you all have in your emails a code where you can download this entire copy for free. This is also available in Spanish. So please make sure you take advantage of that resource. Like I said, we paid for that. It's free. So and it's a really great resource to just give you some tips on navigating this new step in your student's life. And so as we kind of approach this next chapter, really thinking about leading with curiosity. You are not expected to know everything about Bentley or everything about college. I don't know everything about Bentley and about college, and I work at Bentley. And so really just remembering to lead with curiosity. You and your student can go on this adventure together. You don't have to know anything, and don't be afraid to ask questions. That's why we're here. Please, if I say a word that's like that's an acronym that I've never heard before, then please just ask what that means. Sometimes we at university settings are really bad at using a lot of acronyms and using a lot of jargon that is very specific to just that institution, that college. So so call us out on that. Change typically equals stress. So no matter, what, even if your student's having a really great experience, I think it's important to just acknowledge that there are going to be a lot of changes, and for you and for your student, that could equal stress, and that could be tricky to navigate. And so really be patient with yourselves, be patient with your students as you're going through this next piece of life. Your student doesn't need to have everything figured out right now. So Christine talked about this already. Your student might change their major. I know when I changed my major, my parents freaked out. They were so afraid that I was never going to get a job or that I wasn't going to graduate on time. I changed my major 3 times. I graduated on time. I went to graduate school. I got a master's degree. I think I'm doing all right. And so just try to trust your students, try to trust their academic advisors. And sometimes changing your major can be a really good thing because it means that they've learned something new about themselves. And they're taking a path that's better suited for them. You and your students are not alone. Like I said, Jane just said, we're here to answer questions. We're going to be sending you some newsletters throughout the year to make sure that you're updated on your student's experience. We're partners in this with you, and we want you to feel just as part of the Bentley community as your students are and as we are. And then finally, I know, especially, my mom, when I started college, it was like she felt like she was losing her son, but you never stop being a parent. So even though your student might be moving out of the house, might be moving onto campus, you are still their parents. They might have a new vocabulary they're using when they go to Bentley. They might be talking about things that are different than what they've talked about before, but that doesn't mean that you're not their parent. And so don't stop parenting. Don't stop having those conversations with your students and leaning in and asking them questions about their college experience, because they need you now just as much as they need you while they're living at home. So on that note, we're gonna open it up to a Q&A. We have some questions that have been submitted, and so I'm happy to start that off and pull up some of the questions that have been submitted here. But as we're talking through those questions, please feel free to answer or ask any questions in the live Q&A on the screen. It's just this button here at the top that says Q&A. You can click that button and you can submit any question. You can even do so, I believe, anonymously, if that's more comfortable. So the first question, I think, is a good one for Melissa in financial aid. And it's just, how do I make payments?
Sure. So tomorrow is actually the semester due date for the fall semester. So if you didn't know that, now you do. Don't freak out. It's okay. So what happens is every student should have access to what's called their Workday account. And I'm pretty sure everything lives in Workday. So that's where they register for classes. That's where your billing is. That's where you go ahead and make payments. It's where you view your financial aid. So Workday will be something that they are living in with for the next 4 years. So the student can download a copy of their billing statement if they have not seen it yet. Just one thing to keep in mind is everything is communicated to the student directly. It's in the student's, the student is the one going to college. We understand that, you know, sometimes a parent, guardian, or someone else is responsible for the tuition bill, but because it's the student who's going to college, all communication will be sent to the student directly. So if they receive emails from really anyone on campus, they should really read them. I know I always say if it's coming from financial aid or student financial services, read those because there are two different offices. The financial aid office is where I work, and that is where we process financial aid. The student financial services office is also called the student accounts office, and they're the billing office. So the billing office has sent out bills online in, I think it was the second week of July, so they're due tomorrow. You can go online through your Workday account. The student can set you up with third-party access, which means as a parent, you can have access to your student billing statement, and you can pay right online with an e-check payment, so an electronic check payment where you put in your checking account number and your routing number, and the payment will come right from your bank. Student financial services, billing office also has a payment plan that you can do, and you can spread the fall payments that's due for the semester into 4 equal installments, and they go from August 15th to November 15th, and there's just a $35 enrollment fee. You enroll right through that Workday account again. There's no interest, so it is a great option if you can afford to make, you know, payments and you want to do it that way. It's a great option. So you can, 1, pay in lump sum, 2, enroll in the payment plan. You can contact my office and get resources on how to pay your bill with a student loan. We recommend families use Elm Select, and I'll put it in the chat. It's a great resource. It allows you to compare different loan lenders that are available. You apply directly through the loan lender once you find a loan that best fits within your financial situation. You apply for the loan. Once you're approved, Bentley gets information about it. We certify the loan and we apply it to your billing statement. So those are your 3 options, and you can do a combination of 2 or all 3. It really just depends. I would definitely recommend if you want to do a combination of them, you can reach out to my office or the billing office and we can help you. But those are just your 3 payment options, and they, again, it is due tomorrow. So.
Thanks, Melissa. And Dean, I'm just going to say, if you would like to ask a question in Spanish, you are welcome to do that as well. And Jane is here to help respond.
Yeah. Ben, do you want me to answer the questions that we got ahead of time in Spanish? Should I go ahead and speak the answers, or you want me to type them in the chat?
That would be great if you wanted to speak the answers.
Okay. Así que recibimos, yo creo que son 3 preguntas de alguien que tiene una hija en el programa de First Gen Presidential Fellows. La primera pregunta es, ¿cuándo va a recibir el pago de $500? Porque ella ya pagó, yo creo que ya compró unos libros y nosotros vamos a repagarle para este gasto. So Melissa, that question is, when can the students who are receiving a reimbursement, like a credit, when can they expect those in their bank account? And also there's a second question here. También querría saber si ella necesita abrir una cuenta en algún banco de Estados Unidos, porque la familia es de Puerto Rico, para que llegue el dinero que sobre de la beca. So that question is for students who get reimbursement from the university for a scholarship, do they need a bank account in the United States for that direct deposit, or could she use their bank account in Puerto Rico?
That's a good question. I think you would have to speak with the billing office about that. I would assume it's a US bank account. but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't worked in that office for a couple of years. But the billing office, which I can again put their contact information in the chat, they would definitely be able to help you and can confirm. I believe you actually go ahead and put all of that information, your bank account information, through Workday, so you can try it and see if it allows you. It might say you need a U.S. bank account, and I can try to research it while we're going through other questions.
Okay. Let me just say that in Spanish in case this parent is on the call. Ella cree que vale la pena intentar subir la información de la cuenta del banco en Puerto Rico a través de Workday, que es donde hacemos todas las transacciones de dinero y todo eso. Así que inténtelo, y si no funciona, pues eso significa que tendrán que abrir una cuenta en un banco de Estados Unidos. Pero vale la pena intentarlo usando el banco que ya tienen. También pueden preguntarle directamente a una oficina que se llama Student Account Services, y Melissa va a poner el contacto de esa oficina en el chat. Y también de cuándo va a recibir el crédito para los $500 que ya gastaron. Melissa, when can they expect the reimbursement?
Yeah, so if you have a credit balance on your account, and if you're like, what is a credit balance? It's if on your Workday billing account, you have a number that's in parentheses, that means that Bentley University owes you money. That means that either your financial aid cover all of your charges, or if you took out a loan and it exceeded what was being billed, that means we owe you money. So financial aid is not set to disperse until the last week of August. That's when we start to disperse it. So once you see that your credit has become available to you and that all of your financial aid is dispersed, that is when you can then go ahead and request a refund through your Workday account through Student Financial Services. So there are some times where financial aid does take a little bit longer to disperse to the accounts, and that's something, if someone has a mass grant, it's because we get paid later from the state. So sometimes mass grants don't disperse until October. So we can, you know, if that's the case where your refund is not all available to you, you know, come the first week of September when you're trying to purchase books, you can contact our office, and then, you know, our counselors in our office would be able to assist you on next steps. But yes, your financial aid credit would be available to you once your financial aid is fully dispersed, which I believe we're trying to aim for the last week of August. So you can, you know, start having those funds to purchase books and, you know, any type of living expense before the classes begin. But you can do that, and I'll put it's called a job aid. It's just like step by step. I actually have it on here, and I'll put that in the chat as well with the billing office's information, and they can go ahead and see if you can do a Puerto Rico bank account. So I'm not 100% sure. I apologize. I don't know the answer to that question.
Bueno, la respuesta breve, voy a como achicarlo un poco, es que empezamos el proceso de poder repagar a estudiantes que tienen un crédito con la universidad por alguna beca o lo que sea, algún préstamo, etcétera, a finales de agosto. Ya eso es la primera vez, como la última semana de agosto, que el estudiante puede pedir el crédito. Pero depende de la beca. Unas becas, la universidad no recibe el dinero hasta, por ejemplo, puede ser en octubre. Entonces, depende de qué tipo de crédito tiene el estudiante con la universidad y qué tipo de préstamo o beca. Pero si tiene alguna pregunta, pueden mandarle un correo a Melissa, que va a poner información de contacto en el chat, y eso. Y espero que contestamos esa pregunta, pero si no, por favor, que nos dejen saber. Últimamente, hay una pregunta acá sobre el plan médico, que dice que si yo tengo un plan médico familiar en Puerto Rico o en algún otro país, si el estudiante quiere ponerse en el plan médico de la universidad, tengo que yo dejarle o bajarle el plan familiar mío. La respuesta es que yo creo que es preferible que los estudiantes se queden en los planes médicos de la familia. El plan médico de la universidad realmente es solamente si no hay un plan médico de la familia. Pero si hay un plan médico de la familia, es preferible dejar el estudiante en ese plan de la familia. Así que realmente los estudiantes no deben de necesitar juntarse al plan médico de la universidad si ya tienen un plan médico. Esa de la universidad realmente existe por los casos en los cuales el estudiante no tiene seguro médico de ningún tipo. Entonces yo espero que contestamos esa pregunta, pero déjenos saber. Okay, I think we covered all three of those questions, so we can move on.
Yeah, and Jane, just if you want to remind everyone, I did go ahead and put in the chat the link for everyone to set up as a third-party user, because everyone should really do that, have a parent do that if they don't have access to the billing account.
Okay. A mí no me aceptaron un plan universal que es worldwide. ¿Me pueden explicar por qué? Okay. So Licia Colombo has a question about a universal worldwide plan that it sounds like the university didn't accept for health insurance. So maybe her student needs to sign up with the university plan.
Yes, the Massachusetts has very strict requirements when it comes to health insurance. So if you're not able to waive the student health insurance with the health insurance you have, then unfortunately you will have to enroll in the student health insurance that is provided by Bentley.
Okay. Licia, ¿entendiste bien? ¿Entendió bien? Parece que sí. Ok, gracias. También, ok, gracias. También iba a decir que Melissa puso un link acá en el chat que es para Workday, y ese link, a través de ese link, ustedes pueden crear su propia cuenta en Workday para hacer unas cosas, por ejemplo, pagar la universidad. Y esas cosas que es separado a la cuenta de sus estudiantes. Y eso puede ser muy usable, una muy buena idea para que ustedes también tengan acceso a Workday. No van a tener todo el acceso, no van a poder ver las notas de los estudiantes, pero van a poder hacer unas cosas como pagar y cosas financieras.
Thank you, Jane and Melissa. So we had two questions come in the chat, and I know that BL answered them, but just in case people didn't see, there was a question about season tickets for football or hockey, and if there's assigned seating. Athletics will be posting information soon about ticketing, but you can find that at bentleyfalcons.com. So I love that you're asking questions about season tickets. That's great. You should definitely come out to the games. And then when will my daughter find out housing and roommate? So all of those assignments, I believe, have been made already. So your daughter can log into her housing portal and her housing and roommate information will be available there. So there's a housing portal that your daughter has been emailed, and so they can get that information. It looks like if there's no roommate information, it looks like somebody hasn't been assigned yet. So I would check back, and then if feel free to reach out to ga_housing@bentley.edu, and I can put that in the chat. And you can check in on that as well. But, if there hasn't been a roommate assigned yet, it's just because one hasn't been assigned to that room yet. All right. Where can we find the payment for the tuition due again?
So it would be under the Workday account. I believe it's under, you have to click the student. It's under the Workday account in the student portal. So you want to make sure that it's under the student part of it. And it should say something like financials, and that's where the bill should live.
What other questions do folks have? Well, what I will do is give a little bit more time for folks to ask questions. And I'll go ahead and go over some upcoming events in the meantime, so that'll give you some time to think of some other questions you may have, and then we'll answer any questions that come in during that time as well. So Biel, do you want to go over some of our upcoming events?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So as I mentioned, orientation, there will be a lot going on. And we want your students to really try a little bit of everything, but we recognize that their transition does not stop there. So here are just a few of the upcoming events to make sure that you're sharing with them and for you to be aware of. So during the first week of classes, there will be a first Falcon social. So we will be sending that information out to your student, but if you hear them talking about it, please encourage them to stop by. So it'll be an opportunity for them to meet some other First Falcons, to be able to connect with some faculty and staff, and again, to start building those relationships right from the start. October 12th and 19th, there is a First Falcons Inclusive Leadership Institute, and that is being hosted by some staff from the Division of Student Affairs. And again, another great opportunity to really start building some of those foundational pieces for our students. October 26th is Designing Your Career in Life with Career in Life with Career Development. This is a program that Christine is putting on, and again, another great opportunity for your student to connect. And then this fall, we will be hosting a parent and family event, so more information to come through those newsletters. And I also want to give a very selfish plug for our Falcon Weekend, which happens in October. This will happen October 21st to the 23rd, and this is a chance for any family members, alumni, current students, friends, to be able to join us on campus and be able to celebrate with your student, be able to learn more about campus. If you haven't had a chance to see campus yet, it's a great opportunity to be able to see our community and get connected as well. And I know I said this at the start, all of our offices are represented by so many different areas. But when in doubt, if you ever feel like you have a question that you can't get answered, please feel free to reach out to orientation@bentley.edu. And I'm happy to connect you with any of my colleagues here on this call or other resources across campus. As Ben mentioned, there are a lot of different offices with a lot of different names that, gosh, even I get confused about. So please feel free to reach out to us and we will make sure that we connect you with the correct person to help make sure that we can answer those questions for you.
Great. Well, it looks like there was only one additional question that came in and that was answered. So thank you, I think Melissa who did that, or but if there are no other questions, maybe the group, we can kind of stick on for a little bit longer just to see if any other questions come on. But thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Once again, thank you for trusting us with your students. You made a great decision. Your students made a great decision, and they have so much to look forward to. This is going to be a wonderful experience as they join our Bentley family, and as you join us as well. So thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you this fall. All right, folks, it looks like no other questions are being asked, so I think we're good to sign off. But thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.